Hey, it's RC, and this will be an update video about the MMORPG I'm currently making called Reigning Chain. So I just want to do a quick announcement. So I've just started a blog on Tumblr. I know that most of you guys probably don't use Tumblr, but anyway, I just felt like telling you guys that you can go subscribe. The link will be in the description, reigningchain.tumblr.com. I post really often, really frequent update there if you want to take a look. So I don't really want to make too many videos on my YouTube account about my game, so I'll put most of the updates there and simply make maybe a weekly or bi-weekly update video about the MMO, but it moves very fast. You will be able to see. So first of all, there's a big change with the chat box. So before, if you wanted to show the item you have just received, it was quite hard, but now there's an easy way to do that. So yeah, now you can simply press shift and then click on the weapon and it will be in the chat box. So it's very easy. For example, I got, let's say, this weapon that has a lot of attributes. I can simply shift it and there it is. Everybody can see it. I've also added clan chat to the game. So for example, I could log into the LOL friend chat, and by pressing slash, like in RuneScape, you could say things in the LOL friend chat. And there's a great thing about that is that you can have as many active clans at the same time. And it's, for example, if you're in 5 clan chat, then you will need to press, let's say, 1 time for the first clan, 2 times the slash for the second, up to 5. Obviously, you don't really want to be in 5, but the option is there. And because the project is open source, when it will be released, people can make their own version, and maybe, let's say, the percentage equivalates to, I don't know. Anyway, I won't really don't really want to talk too much about that. It's still in the future. So there's that, and there's also the admin stuff and creation. Right now it's still only with commands line, but eventually I will make a visual graphic interface for people to do that, so you don't have to remember by heart how to do it. Now after that, I've made quite a big change in the interface, especially for the ability. So before it was kind of hard to know what the ability does. So now you can easily tell that this multi-shot that you cast 1.6 times per second will have 0.3% chance to not bye-bye, blah blah blah, drain mana and burn monsters. There's also a new thing called the weapon compatibility. So for example, right now I'm using a wand. Well, first of all, the ability is mostly range, magic, and fire. So if you use a weapon that is also magic, for example, the wand is quite magic, a little bit of fire, a lot cold and lightning, well, it will have a compatibility of 0.25. But if you use a mass that is mostly melee, well, it will have compatibility of 0. And for example, a bow, it will have 11%. You can still use the spell, but it will deal less damage than normal. There's also the different categories, so you could go into summon and it will display what you need to do. I don't remember. There's also the boost for the dodge. Yeah, I don't have this ability on this account, but anyway, there's a little text for everything. Another big change for the interface and the system is the quest system. So in my game is based mostly around quests, but in most game, quests are kind of pointless. They're just a waste of your time because the rewards are never really good, the quests are never really entertaining, and yeah. But in my game it's kind of different because the rewards, you do want to have the rewards. If you're high level, if you're low level, you want the rewards. While in most game, the reward is, for example, gold, but you don't give a fuck about gold if you're high level. Well, you do give a fuck, but I mean, it's anyway. Usually the rewards are not really worth your time. You will make more gold by simply training normally. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. So in my game, the reward is always a boost in one of your stats. For example, by completing this quest, it will boost my damage fire plus by 5 to 10%. So even if you're low, high, or mid-level, it's a useful quest to do. And for example, the first time I complete it, it gets, for example, 6%. I could complete the quest again and maybe get 8%. and maybe again 9%, and finally, if I'm really lucky, 10%. So after completing the quest multiple times, you may want to add bonus to your reward, and this is by increasing the difficulty of the quest. For example, I could activate, well, right now they are both activated, but I could activate, for example, that my HP is halved during this quest. So the quest will be harder, but if you're really comfortable, your build is really strong, you will get a 50% bonus to your reward. It can still not go over the cap, it's not really directly 50% bonus. There's a little formula, but anyway. Or complete this quest in less than 1 hour, or maybe the boss shoots 2 times more bullets, there are 2 times more monster in the dungeon, or you cannot use potion or food, or tons of different possibilities with a system like that. And finally, there's also a big change, and it's about the passive grid. So every time you level up in my game, you will get a point, and I just realized I don't have any points. Well, anyway, it shouldn't be a big problem, but I guess you get the point. So you level up, you start off at the middle, you can choose the stats that you want. So for example, if you're a fire build, you might go to the northeast because it will be mostly fire. And if you're a build relying on leeching, you might go to the east part or the west part or whatever part to mix of different stuff. So there's a lot of customization there. So it's still not really fully done yet. It's still a very small grid, in my opinion. Well, there's a lot of stuff. So many games have done something similar like that, but my game has something quite different in it, and it's the popularity of the boosts. So let's face it, in most games, no matter how much customization the developer put into their game, most people will still go for maybe 3 or at most 5 builds that will be viable. Well, not viable, but that will be overpowered build. It always happens. There's a certain combination that's really more powerful than the others, and maybe 80% of all the players will play those OP builds. Well, obviously there are players that won't, but let's face it, if you want to be efficient, you normally want to go for an OP build. And what my game does to, in a way, counter that is put a popularity on each of those different nodes. And if the popularity is high, so everybody is taking it, the value of the stat will decrease. While in the other end, if the popularity is low, the value will increase. So what it does, normally what happens in, I would say, normal games, is that there's an overpowered build, everybody takes it, and then there's a nerf, because the OP build cannot always be overpowered. There's a nerf, you move from OP to unviable, and then you need to switch build. So in my game, it doesn't really work that way. If you find out a good combination, it will be good, and gradually it will become not unviable like most of the game. It will simply decrease because more people will use the build until it reaches a point where it's an average build, and eventually everything will average out. Well, that's the plan. So yeah, in the other end, it really encourages people to make new and custom builds. So not really copying everything that they simply do a research and copy the build there. Because if you manage to do a build that relies on not that much popular, so for example, people think that the ice ball build is really crappy and nobody takes it, maybe the popularity will be 1% and the value will be, for example, +10, so you can make a really powerful build like that. And be powerful because you're unique. So the way it works, it's still not really written in stone. I do plan to make it very easy to switch, so you're not pissed off if your build gets popular. You can easily respec your stats and put them into other stuff. And also there will be, I don't really know how I will call it, maybe a conservation time. So if you put a stats, for example, right now I get +1.0021. Well, I will keep this value for at least 1 month, so it won't crash. You won't be pissed off if people copy your build. Well, at least for a month, you won't be pissed off. and eventually we'll find another build. Because let's face it, if you make a powerful build, everybody copies you. You can switch at any time and find a new, more powerful build and continue that way. So there are still a couple of things I need to work on to make it the best I can. So I guess that's pretty much it about this video. I hope you liked it, and see ya!